Hello, my friends. Today is May the 11th, and this is a reading for you if this is your birth date. I do psychic readings, I do healing work. If you'd like to contact me, look at my credits. This is a four-card pull to cover the year to follow, approximately 7 to 10 minutes, so bear with me. Four-card pull, general energy card for the year, challenge you might face this year, an action you can take to stay in balance, and an outcome or synopsis card. This is the general energy card of the year. It is the orphan. What is the orphan? Is that sense of feeling um, shut off from those we love, particularly our parents, our mothers and fathers, and or the mothers and fathers of our life that feel like our mothers and fathers, that have such value as being our mothers and fathers. But ultimately, when you lose a parent, there's no feeling like that in the world. There's just two of them. Hopefully, sometimes there's none that we know of, and we start off as orphans. But we all usually, if we don't precede our parents, we all generally have to go through that feeling of loss of someone was of such significant importance to us that we don't know how to go ahead sometimes. We don't know how to grieve sometimes. We need to hold on to a lot of pain from then maybe not letting people in because we're afraid to lose them. And depending on a lot of factors, sometimes we can go through our feeling orphaned and find our strength and find our courage and become our parents, embodied on the earth, as well as become ourselves embodied on the earth, and carry, the better traits, and understand, their fears better because we understand our lives better. Sometimes becoming an orphan is soul shattering to someone, and so there's all those looks of, where do you feel like you've been, cut off and left alone from the availability to have your mother or your father or both in your life to talk to you, to help you, to protect you, to nurture you, to feed you, to give you information, if you were lucky enough to have them in the first place. So here is your particular challenge, Knight of Cups. Boy, there's Knight of Cups is on a quest for love. The Knight wants to feel love, wants to feel joy, wants to feel pleasure, wants to feel all the things attached to cups, wants to, find their intuition and feed their heart and touch their love and touch their compassion. And in that sense, they're servers. They want to serve the world. They want a Knight of Cups wants to help anybody who needs love. It wants to give love to everybody who needs love. So it's hard, I think, on some level, for you to channel you want to give love and service from everybody to just one person. And I think one person is what's challenging you right now, that you want to go deeper with somebody, you want to test yourself with somebody, but that there's another part of you that doesn't want to go there, right? And I think there's a feeling of being an orphan inside of you and doesn't necessarily trust how to open up to somebody that you really believe is going to leave you at some point, and leave you feeling alone and stranded again, and you don't want to bear that, and you don't want to feel that. And so unconsciously there's often this place of not wanting to feel like an orphan and abandoned and unworthy on some levels, that makes being an orphan a challenge to find relationships where you really want to dive in and share. But I think there's a relationship that you want to dive into and share here, and still serve others. So there's always that question too, of how much of your life is about sharing, how much of this is also about just loving for love's sake, and just giving your love to whoever comes strongly down the road, and just finding, oh, that's the one, and then, oh, that's the one, oh, that's the one. Are you just in love within love and being in love? Well, there's lots of choices around this, and but if you never let anybody in, then I think there's that orphan card that sits at the center of this. But how do you find out? Well, mouse energy, scrutinizing energy, becoming small and looking up with big eyes at at something really close by, and really examining it and saying, am I afraid to share my emotions? Am I afraid to go deeper with somebody? Do I believe that they want to love me and hold me and be with me forever? The fairy tale ending. Am I bought into a fairy tale ending of happily ever after? And what if it's not that? Because my parents died, and I feel that this sad energy and this grief and this possibly rejection, if it's not unprocessed, remember, this is might be a lot of unconscious and subconscious work that you're asked to do, taking your mouse down into the many ways you can look at something and say, is that still true, or was that ever true? Am I really afraid to be in love when I really want to be in love? That's the quest of the Knight of Cups, is to be in love. And am I avoiding things by constantly being in love with, oh, that's the right one, that's the next one, I can drop this one to go to the next one? There's also a sense of never wanting to face losing somebody if you keep losing them first. So there's that orphanage thing that's underneath that too. So the mouse says, you just got to look and see what your particular words are that you're telling yourself, and you got to say, is it worthwhile to hold those words as my truth anymore? And can I step into something that's scary, but that can transform me, that can transform my life, that can help me to go through time and not be stuck in one place and one time? I think sometimes we get stuck when a parent dies, or both parents are gone, or when we never have them and we feel like we've always been abandoned. Sometimes that's what we need to go through, but that's also what we need to rise above. Everything's what we need to rise above if it's holding us back from being full and rich and authentic and alive in our worlds, and letting seasons come and go, and letting people come and go, and letting mothers and fathers come and go, and letting children come and go. You never lose them from your heart, but you do lose them from your physical realities, and that's a painful process. And then you got to learn how to touch them and find them and remember them with warmest of memories again. But if you don't let that part of you happen, then maybe you sit in your pain. And is that really what you want to do, is to be an orphan forever? You have a choice to not be the orphan forever, however that turns out for you this year. There's a lot of looking within that says you don't have to be the orphan forever. You can open yourself up and share and learn and go deeper and love. Aho.